When I was asked to give a speech here, the first thing that came to my mind was, what if I make a mistake on stage in front of all those people? How embarrassing, right? I've been obsessing over mistakes my whole life. When I was in high school, I could never forgive myself for not getting a straight A or 100% in a test. I always aimed at perfection. I couldn't forgive myself for forgetting a single detail. For example, how could I forget the exact date and time in which Napoleon lost the battle? How could I, right? I felt like I was a failure for making a mistake. But why did I feel that way? Society has trained us to feel ashamed of our mistakes, and we carry that way of thinking throughout our lives. We're all burdened with that thought, you know? Somehow, we are led to believe that if we are perfect, we can be happy. Well, I felt miserable all through high school. I was always stressed, under pressure. I didn't enjoy school at all. But I was a great student, okay? But I still wasn't happy. I can now tell you that I was a victim of that social belief. But not just me. Even the teachers, the professors, we've all been students, and we've all gone down the same path. Now, think about, when was the last time you made a mistake? Was there someone there pointing that out to you? Was this someone you? If you think about the way we learn at school, you'll realize that we are taught in a way that tries to avoid making mistakes. So, for example, the teacher explains a grammar rule, and then you're asked to complete an exercise. So, fill the gap, or a multiple choice, whatever. And that's it. Even if you get 100%, can you say that you are ready to speak to someone in another language? Can you say that, would you be ready to, listen to someone else speak in another language? I think somehow schools don't allow creativity. You're never really allowed to make up your own sentences in another language. And maybe that's why learning is considered boring, and people don't really enjoy that. But we should all want to learn, right? We should enjoy it. But can we find a way to make learning fun? Or do we have to keep associating it with those red marks on our worksheets? Those red marks that scream, you are incapable. I've been teaching English to children for almost 10 years. Think about the way children learn. When they learn, they don't even know they're learning. They don't even know what a language is. They don't know that concept, when they're really young. So all they do is they associate a sound to an action or an object. And they learn multiple sounds or languages, as we like to call them. And to them, it comes natural. And I've always been amazed by how easily and quickly they learn. Can we allow ourselves to be more like children? When they study, children don't study on books for hours and hours, They learn by doing, coloring, drawing, pasting, cutting, whatever. And this should teach us a valuable lesson. Can we, as adults, start to learn in a different way by using different skills, not just by studying, but by doing, by playing? There's something else that children do. They use their intuition, something that my adult students tend to avoid. You know, if you don't understand a single word in a paragraph, or if you don't understand a single word, you are stuck, you panic. But children instead try to figure it out from the context. You know, they try to read body language. So yes, we need to be more like children. And also, do you think children care when they make a mistake? I can assure you they don't, unless you tell them they should feel ashamed. So now, let's go back to us, back to our fear of making mistakes. What if I told you that it's only by making those mistakes that you can learn? That's the core of learning anything, especially a second language. I know mistakes are painful. I know, because I've been there. I've been a student. And I remember this one time back in high school, I had worked so hard on a drawing, you know, an art project. I spent hours working on it. And when I handed it in, my teacher, my professor, started to draw red marks all over it. Not only I felt like she was ruining something I was proud of, but I also felt ashamed in front of the whole class. I know she was only trying to correct me, but she didn't give me a constructive feedback, and also she didn't appreciate how much work I had done to get there. So, are these the right ways to motivate students? I believe that this approach only pushes people away. They stop students from trying. Students are scared to try. I was scared. But let me tell you this. Do not let those red marks tell you that you are unworthy. Even if you're not good at one thing, I'm sure you're excellent at something else. To all the teachers out there, here's what I want to say. Celebrate the accomplishments, the results of your students, but most of all, celebrate the attempts, okay? And to all the students out there, all I want to say is, remember, mistakes are important, necessary, but they're good for you. Mistakes are good. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to learn. There is no winning or losing, but there's only winning or learning. As I always say, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. And every time you make a mistake, instead of saying, oh, give yourself a pat on the shoulder, okay, because you've tried, you've been brave. And even if you're not sure about a word or the pronunciation of a word, go out there, try, speak to people in another language, okay? It will be fun. And I know it takes time, and it's a long process, but try to transform those red marks that you might still see as painful scars into gold stars, Thank you.